Y'all ready for some hope?
Weaponized incompetence means when a partner pretends like they don't know how to do something, or they ask for extra help, or they're calling you all the time from the grocery store. They can't complete a task without help.
Side note, if you were following that darn chat and then haven't seen her content in a while, apparently she got banned.
I asked my husband to put the leftovers away yesterday. It was ravioli. This is a trash bag. That's a trash.
Her man loaded the dishwasher.
There are so many people utilizing weaponized incompetence. Weaponized incompetence is when you purposely don't do a good job so that somebody else can clean up after you. If you're dealing with this with somebody, you're not setting a boundary. And you have to ask yourself another question. Why am I always being everybody's mother? Why am I cleaning up after everybody's mess? You can ask more from others and you'll get more from them. But if you never ask, all you're going to get is them silently manipulating you, and you're okay with it.
Can you give me an example of what weaponized incompetence might look like?
Well, I would weaponize incompetence like this. Honey, can you wash the dishes? I would do a bad job of the dishes so that she no longer trusts me with them. So what happens is you create a resentful wife and a pussy of a husband. You have your problems of doing something, just say you don't want to do them, and then you could find a solution outside of your weaponized incompetence.
Today we're making a flower bouquet and talking about weaponized incompetence. But I want to talk about weaponized incompetence today because I've been guilty of this, and it's something I'm still working on. First of all, what is weaponized incompetence? Weaponized incompetence, also called strategic incompetence, is when someone knowingly or unknowingly demonstrates an inability to perform or master certain tasks, thereby leading others to take on more work. For example, if the kitchen towels are supposed to be folded or put here neatly, to use it and then put it to the side, that's weaponized incompetence. And I know it's easier for me to be selfish or to only think of myself in certain situations, and I think in a relationship, I have to think of the other person, and if they've clearly talked about having their kitchen towels a certain way, leaving your shoes at the door when you walk in, these are things that I can listen to. Because I also think that when your partner walks in and sees a kitchen towel that's out, that they have to put up, they're going to look at you in a different way. And you don't want that to consistently build up over time, because I think that builds resentment. And this idea of weaponized incompetence isn't the end of the road. I think it's just an opportunity to learn and grow. Because again, my goal is to make my partner's life easier. I don't want to add anything to her plate. So those are my thoughts on weaponized incompetence, and here's my Lego bouquet.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amaomi, aka Petite Diva, and in this video we are discussing incompetence and how it can be weaponized by men in relationships.
Did you know that sometimes people might pretend to be bad at things on purpose just to get out of doing them? And there's actually a name for it. It's called weaponized incompetence. Perhaps you've seen it, a partner who always messes up the laundry, or a colleague who can't figure out how to use Excel. It could be a way of dodging responsibility. This behaviour can leave you doing more of the work, which could lead to burnout or even resentment. You might even start questioning whether you're expecting too much, but maybe it's a pattern worth noticing.
No. No, 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 no! Why did you do this?
You just put that in there?
Yes. Why did you put this whole pot in there?
This is why I'm so grateful that women come on this app every day to share their stories, because whether the younger women are learning what to do and what not to do, they're still learning. Women on the internet have shown other women what weaponized incompetence looks like. This is what your mother and your grandmother and your great-great-grandmother experienced, but didn't have a name for it. They didn't have the proper verbiage for it. They didn't realize that not every man in a marriage acts like this. Men condition women to accept weaponized incompetence when they just ignore it. I can do it badly. She's gonna fix it. She's gonna handle it. No. She called him in their name and shame, filmed him and everything. Call them out on it. Don't let them get away with acting like they don't know no better, like they're some kind of child. Are women 10 and 20 years into a relationship still putting up with this because they never shut it down? Because they just kept on saying, men will be men, or this is what men are like. No, this is not what men are like. This is what your man is like, because you never checked him.
I mean, why wait for your husband to gaslight you if you can just do it yourself, right? What the hell was that? And if you were wondering what she switched up the last one to, she says she gets to have fun caring for her home and her family. That's her. Fun. This is a weaponized incompetence success story.
I was wondering why men are like this. That's literally fettuccine in a vase. As if we don't have Tupperware.
The first time I ever went viral on social media was for telling a story of when I was a teenager and my mom asked me to wash the dishes. And I told my little brother that I had a secret plan. I was going to do it really badly so that she would never ask me again. And what I was doing then, what this woman's husband is surely doing in that video, is weaponizing incompetence. A form of passive-aggressive behavior where an individual deliberately performs tasks poorly or pretends to be incapable of completing certain tasks. This manipulation tactic is often used to avoid responsibility, forcing others to take over and perform the task instead. While it is missing from the definition that I just showed you, it is absolutely a gendered behavior too. Not even necessarily a behavior that we are explicitly taught. I grew up in a household in the 1980s and 90s that I think most people would think was remarkably gender equitable. And still, somehow, some way, I learned that this is the sort of strategy that I could try to use against my mom. I don't think it ever would have occurred to me to try and use it against my dad. That is just how culturally and socially pervasive misogyny is. How pervasive weaponized incompetence is as a means of strategically navigating and reproducing it. But it is 2024, and it's been 70 years since the second phase of feminism began. Weaponized incompetence is a discussion topic that has been all over this platform for 3+ years now. Guys, cut that shit out.
So I moved in with a man, and I didn't want to fall into the trap of doing all of the housework and that sort of unpaid labor that women are often relegated to, whether it's intentional or not. So I thought, like, if men can weaponize incompetence and pretend they don't know how to clean or grocery shop, why can't I? So I just never did my laundry. Like, literally never. And guess what? I haven't done laundry in 2 years. Not one time. Somehow it just gets done. But like, now my boyfriend's been gone on a business trip for 3 weeks. And I don't know how to use our washer machine. So...
You saw me cleaning the other night, so are you going to get up and help? Maybe? And you're like, I don't
need
think
to help
so.
every time you
That
clean.
was the first time we've cleaned. We said we're going to clean on Sundays. So Sunday?
He said.
Clorox was out, Windex was out. I was doing this, putting dishes away, cleaning everything, doing the bathroom, scrubbing the toilet. I came out and said, you going to
Great
help?
job.
Did you say great job?
Yeah, good job. That's awesome. You're not my mom. You're not going to just boss me around and make me do things.
I tell my codependency clients who not only get into overgiving and overdoing and over caretaking themselves, but then often end up with people like this who force them into the role as well, that we have to get more comfortable saying, living with you isn't working out for me. Dating you isn't working out for me. It's not working out. Honesty will speed up the inevitable. Haley Carr said that. One thing I shifted when I started really not wanting to participate in codependency and the overgiving anymore is I got really clear with my communication. I actually stopped arguing about I did this and then you did that. The moment we start bringing up what we did or didn't do, this fight, it's not going to work. As a codependent, the best thing I can say to my partner is, if this continues, I know this isn't going to work out for me. Living with you won't be something I'm going to want to do or continue. I have told my partner, because we can still get into it sometimes of who's doing a little bit more. And I have told him before, if this doesn't improve, I'm going to have to really look at our situation. I know that's kind of like, this is on the ultimatum. But the truth is, that is not an ultimatum. That is you saying, I decide what is okay in my life. And I want to inform you that when this happens, I'm considering other options for me. An ultimatum is when I say, you have to do this, or this, and then I'm leaving. But me claiming like, I'm going to have to reconsider this for myself and rethink my decision because this isn't something I want to continue. That's not an ultimatum. That is informing somebody that you are considering a decision that is going to impact them.
One of the things I really try to process now as a middle-aged man is the full extent to which I really thought that I was the main character. I'll just give you an example. Early in our marriage, my partner and I, say we'd be going on a trip. My partner, at that point in time, would be doing the laundry, vacuuming the house, making sure the dishes were done. And I would literally think like, well, yeah, but you don't have to do that. Like, that's you wanting to do that. It's not what I want to do. She would get everything ready, and eventually I would say, oh, now it's time to get ready. And I would go, and this is not a joke. This literally happened on more than one occasion. I would get like a backpack or a suitcase or something, and I would get my own clothes. And then I would get like 2 or 3 books that I wanted to read. And I would literally bring highlighters because I'm a nerd. And I think, I'm ready. I'm ready to go on the trip. Looking back, like, what? How could I possibly think that was okay? And the thing is, when we had kids, it didn't stop, right? My partner would do all the work to get all of them ready and make sure they were bathed, snacks packed, and I would get myself ready. And I think, oh, I saw my own father do this quite a bit, where he would take care of his own needs. So I know I didn't learn it from nowhere, but I also had to unlearn it because it never was okay. I thought that my role was to do all these things outside of the home and that the home was, woman's domain. I saw that modeled and even taught as the way it should be, but oh my gosh, is that not partnership? And that sucks. So if you are a person, especially if you're a man and you think that division of labor is okay, like you shouldn't be married. Like you shouldn't be in a relationship. And I shouldn't have been at that point in time. And that would have made me so very mad. Because I was like, what more do you want from me? Turns out, quite a lot.
I asked my husband to put the leftovers away yesterday. It was ravioli. This is a trash bag. That's a trash bag.
Say it with me now. Weaponized incompetence. In a relationship, your partner's using their lack of knowledge as an excuse as to why they did the action that they did the way they did. She asked him for a favor, which was to put the leftovers away, which he did. And obviously him putting the leftovers away isn't a problem. It's how he stored the leftovers in the refrigerator that is a problem. And now this is going to be an argument because she's going to go confront him and say, hey, sweetheart, when you put the leftovers away, you put them in a plastic bag. And he's going to say, well, at least I put them away. That's what you asked me to do, so I did it. Meanwhile, he may not be acknowledging, or he may know why this is a problem, but he's using his lack of intelligence as an excuse as to why he did what he did. He's going to say in return, well, you didn't tell me I had to put it in the Tupperware. You didn't tell me I had to put it in the storage container. How am I supposed to know how to store that? Just because I didn't put it away the way you would put it away doesn't mean that it's wrong. I did what you asked me to do. It's never good enough for you. That's more likely how that conversation would go if she approaches him, because he seems like that type of person based off this one simple action. And of course, this tends to bleed out in other areas of the relationship. So for example, when it comes to cleaning the household, a lot of men like this would assume that their wife or their girlfriend are responsible solely for cleaning the place that they both live in. Therefore, when their girlfriend or wife confront them and say, hey, I need help cleaning an apartment, I need help cleaning the house. Well, you never told me and I don't know how to clean. This is your responsibility. You're always the one who's supposed to clean because this is a woman's job. And more likely, it'll become an issue. Weaponized incompetence is not an excuse to do shitty things in a relationship.
Her man loaded the dishwasher.
Weaponized mediocrity in heteronormative households. Let's talk about it. Weaponized mediocrity is purposely doing something so incompetently or so incompletely to the point where the person you're doing it for, or the person you feel forced to do it for, feels the need to never even let you think of doing it again. Simply because fixing your mistakes takes twice as much energy as you put in. It's a way of punishing your partner for asking you to participate in something you enjoy the fruits of. Weaponized incompetence is more so making the conscious choice to not even learn about the chore or the family management necessity, for the same reasons still. And looking at the caption in this scenario, it works wonderfully. She states she'll never let a man do the dishes again. You would have to be objectively stupid to live in a house with a dishwasher and have no idea how not to give your family gastroenteritis, let alone not start a fire with that wooden spoon in there. He did this on purpose. Multiple studies have already shown just how unequally the labor is shared inside of the home, specifically in heteronormative households. So these countless videos of women complaining about their man's shenanigans are just extra study material. Kudos to her, because I would have fed him right out of one of those bacteria-drenched plates. Don't be acting slow for shits and giggles. I don't have time for that.
I made a video saying if they wanted to, they would is bad advice for neurodivergent couples, and someone asked, how do I know the difference between that and weaponized incompetence? I thought about it all day. I think it's shame. With weaponized incompetence, they don't want to, so they pretend they can't. Neurodivergent people often want to so bad, but they are disabled from doing it. Someone who weaponizes incompetence probably doesn't feel bad about it because they're getting what they want when you do what they refuse to. Someone with ADHD, on the other hand, or autism, who wants to do a task but cannot pull the executive functioning skills together to initiate that task, if you step in and do it, they're gonna feel shame. Maybe you asked your partner to plan a date and it's been 3 weeks and they haven't brought it up again. It's easy to assume that they forgot about it, and maybe they did forget about it. That doesn't mean shit about how much they love you if they are neurodivergent.
This is one of the greatest weapons that a narcissist will use to make you feel responsible for them. He's going to pretend to be bad at things to get you to do it for him. That's right, we're talking about weaponized incompetence. Let me guess, you make the appointments in your household. You fill out the paperwork. If you've got kids, you're the primary parent. You do most of the housework, if not all. He just doesn't know how. You're just better at it than he is. My abuser used to say, but you make the whites so white. It's called bleach. But here's what's really going on, right? They're trying to shift the burden of life onto you. And it's usually really manipulative and subtle. A lot of people push back and say that weaponized incompetence isn't on purpose, right? It's a difference in standards. But we're not talking about a difference in standards. We're talking about weaponized incompetence. And it's not the same thing. Enter the nagging wife trope. She's overly critical, she's controlling, it has to be done her way. Now, as an aside, men who talk like this, they don't like women. He doesn't like you. But do you get that? You are partnered with someone who enjoys watching you struggle, who is more than happy to let you do way more than your fair share, and then will blame you for making you do it. And it's always going to turn into some ridiculous, oh, so because I don't fold the towels perfectly in your exact way, now I'm abusive. What a perfect example of deflection, gaslighting, and minimizing abuse tactics. Because that's the defense, right? That's the deflection. You see how immediately you're not talking about him, you're talking about the towels and how they should be folded and why they need to be folded that way? I'm not going to address the actual concern, equitable contributions, or what matters to each other. He's going to redirect the conversation to an exaggerated version of your criticism. I bet you any money in the comments right now there's going to be men like, yeah, but the towels don't need to be folded that way. Because he wants to focus on the most trivial part of it. That makes you feel like you're being irrational, then you're never going to bring it up again, and then you're going to fold the damn towels yourself.
One of the most disgusting things about weaponized incompetence, especially in the context of relationships, is that the person who's doing it would never attempt that stunt at work. The whole weaponized incompetence thing is only a performance that happens at home. Isn't that crazy? You know what else sucks about weaponized incompetence? It often goes hand in hand with gaslighting, which is exactly what your little friend is doing here. You're calling him out and he's saying you're belittling him for employing weaponized incompetence. Tell him he's embarrassing himself because everyone and their grandma knows that he would never pull that stunt at work. And now he's just lying and flailing around like a fool. Like, get it together. It's pathetic. Also, you're like, they're not slick. It's not like some psychology term no one's ever heard of.
So today I ran out of the house and then texted my husband that he was on kid duty. It was great. I got to go to Target all by myself. But then I get back in the car and there's like 10 missed calls from him. So I call him back. Huge mistake. He's crying, dogs barking, kids are screaming. What the fuck is going on? Babe, where are you? I can't do this anymore. They're crazy. Your kids are crazy. He flung shit on the wall. There is shit on the walls.
You get the gist. She goes on to say that she sat in her car for another hour and had her snack. If we boil this video down to the fact that she took the space she needed for herself, I love it. I hate that her dynamic that she's talking about here means that her husband didn't feel confident parenting the kids. And that her personal time might just be going to the store to get stuff that her family needs. First of all, everyone should feel confident leaving their kids at home with their partner. Second of all, everybody deserves space to meet their basic needs. And they deserve space to meet those higher needs. A lot of times moms only have permission to meet these bottom ones. Food, water, oh, I took a shower, I took a long bath. I got a little extra sleep. But loving, belonging, doing something that you feel proud of, these are actual needs too. I was listening to an interview with Eve Rodsky the other day, and she said something that was just, so good. She talks about how a boundary in parenthood means giving yourself permission to make yourself unavailable to the role. If you left the house and your partner stayed home, could you shut your phone off for an hour? Would you feel confident that your children are being cared for without you being available? Do you need to make lists, give instructions for most things? Why or why not? What got you into the dynamic that you're in right now? I have something I need to do on Friday, and all I had to do was call my husband, say, hey, I've got a thing on Friday. Are you available? He is available, so he's going to be there. Will I leave instructions? No. Will the kids possibly still be chaotic? Yeah. It's okay to text one another or commiserate on the challenges of parenthood. But are you texting them to be rescued? Are you sharing in the load? If one person is the keeper of all of the secrets in how your family runs, that's not equity. If it works for you, awesome. I don't think it works for many people, though.
I was going to provide an example of what weaponized incompetence can look like, but I don't need to because this guy did it for me. I'll just do it wrong on purpose, because if I do it right, then you don't even notice I did it. I'll then point out that I used to do it right, but since it wasn't noticed, I'll now do it slightly wrong forevermore. This comment made me laugh because I just can't imagine being an adult who, say, like, takes out the trash and comes in and my partner doesn't say thank you. Therefore, I'm going to throw myself a pity party because they didn't thank me for doing the simple task of emptying the trash. But regardless, I love the comment because the comment is such a good example of what happens in so many relationships. Okay, let's set the stage. This guy moves in with this girl, for example, right? And he unloads the dishwasher every single day and he puts everything away where it belongs. He does a good job, but she's not saying thank you enough. She's not giving him a round of applause. She's not praising him for doing that. But I also have to assume he's not praising her when she folds the laundry, washes the floor, cleans the counters, whatever it might be. But regardless, this pisses him off. So what's he going to do? He's going to use weaponized incompetence. He's going to start doing it just a little bit wrong. He's going to act a little bit dumb, right? He's going to pretend he doesn't know where the forks go or where the bowls go, and he's going to do it a little bit wrong. And every single time he does it wrong, he's going to hope that it pisses her off a little bit. Just enough, though, that she either nags him and he can say, I'm done doing the dishwasher. I can never meet your high standards. It's just never good enough for you. Or she doesn't say anything, she just starts doing it herself because she no longer trusts that he's an adult who's capable of emptying the dishwasher. Men are not dumb, right? They do this intentionally. This is very tactical. They're using this as a tool to get out of doing things in their house that they don't want to have to do. And they do it in a way that's essentially kind of like gaslighting you to think that you're a little bit crazy because is it really that hard? Are my standards that high? No, they're not. This is a tool in their toolbox that they use to get out of doing this work.
My husband is wonderful. He's a great man. I have to tell him to do everything.
So this is from an episode of the Steve Harvey Show. They're taking audience questions. This audience member has a very reasonable question about weaponized incompetence. You know, that whole phenomenon where men pretend that we don't know how to do something so that we can get out of doing it.
I'm hoping that maybe he'll think of it on his own, and I don't want him to be a mind reader.
So I've included this mind reader bit because it's clear that he has accused her of wanting him to be a mind reader, right? Despite the fact that in the original video, she is very clear about how she directly asks him to do things.
Like if I want a hug, I have to say, hey, come over here and hug me, or...
And this is part of weaponized incompetence too, or strategic incompetence, that you turn it around on the person who you are refusing to help. You make it about them, about their inability to clearly communicate what it is that they expect of you. And it implies also that she is nagging him, of course, that she's being unrealistic in her expectations and also in her instructions, directions, requests, which of course makes the link to misogyny pretty clear too.
Am I being unfair by wanting that?
I don't think you're being unfair for wanting it, but what I would definitely say is you married a man.
Men love to complain about misandry and yet buy into this. Is this not the most insulting, patronizing thing you have ever heard? But this is why weaponized incompetence is also always strategic incompetence. Because yes, men are buffoons. Men can't be expected to listen to women and pay attention to the silly things they say, unless those same men are working in their capacity as lawyers, doctors, politicians, corporate executives. In which case, our capacity for rational and reasonable thought is near endless.
I'm
I'm going to say this one more time and louder for the men in the back, because I am stunned at how many men think having a job absolves you of household responsibilities. You think helping around the house is the equivalent of a second job and therefore unfair. But wait, I thought housework wasn't a job. I thought you said it was easy. And if you think all the things your wife does around the house are easy, then why would you complain for having to participate in them? You think going to work entitles you to a hot meal, clean clothes, and a tidy house. But somehow your working wife is never entitled to those same luxuries. She goes out and works hard just to come home and work harder. If your wife stays home, then she's lazy and does nothing. But if she goes to work, you still make her job out to be less labor intensive and therefore less valuable. You want all the benefits of masculinity without the responsibility. You sell yourself as providers, but then get mad when women expect you to provide. You want to be celebrated for getting up and going to work every day, but your wife never had a choice. You can't call in sick from being a mother or take the day off from being a wife. There are no holidays or vacations, and she never gets to clock out. She carries a mental load that you could not possibly quantify. And if you're not willing to assist her with it, then don't judge her performance or what it consists of.
No hate to women, but how do y'all be falling for weaponized incompetence? I could never.
How do you know if your man's incompetence is weaponized or unintentional incompetence? Well, I'll tell you. Say you ask your boyfriend or husband to go to the store and he comes back with wrong or missing items. If he says something along the lines of, "I'm just a terrible shopper, I've always been that way, you know what, you should just do this from now on because if I keep doing it, I'm going to mess it up," then yes, he is in fact weaponizing his incompetence. However, if he continues to go grocery shopping in hopes that he'll get better and he's actually showing improvement, then that's less so weaponized incompetence and more so your partner trying to develop skills they may not have developed earlier in order to improve the quality of your relationship. And I think it's important to know the difference so that you know whether or not you're getting played, just like my mutual had discussed in her video.
Stance needs to make you understand that there's nothing more disrespectful than a man, doing the very things you asked him to do once you break up with him, but he would not do it when you were together. Do you guys know what that means? This means that the man was capable of doing it. Not that he couldn't, but that he was capable and that he didn't because he didn't want to. There's nothing. You can't take that man back. You can't take that man back, you know. I don't care what anyone says. I'd rather date the most incompetent man that has ever existed than date a man that didn't do things because he didn't want to when the whole time he could. No matter how much I cried, no matter how much I shouted, deep the stance, because that makes me angry. This is the type of men that all of you are dating. The man that can but won't. It's better to date the man that can't, not the man that could but will not, that shan't, that shall not.
I think maybe he's not using weaponized incompetence. Maybe he just is incompetent. I used to think that my ex was using weaponized incompetence against me because he would sweep the couch. Until I had to explain to him how mirrors work one day. And I realized he just is incompetent. Which is honestly a lot worse. We did break up because of it, so don't say shit to me.
I've been dying to talk about this. Because on this app we talk a lot about weaponized incompetence in men, but one thing that we don't talk about, and the poster put this in the comments, is weaponized ignorance. And it's when you know you don't know, but you put no effort into learning. So literally, I want to say this to every guy who's preparing to get a gift or an experience for a woman that they care about. If you give her a gift that she has to then do work to actually fully enjoy, you did not give her a gift, you gave her a task. How would you feel if she said dinner's ready and on the table were just a bunch of raw ingredients? Because that's the equivalent of what you're doing. So if you get flowers, you cut them and you put them in the vase.
Now, weaponized incompetence is when someone deliberately does not carry out a responsibility or an action well, just so that they will not be asked to do that responsibility again. So that person actually can do it, has the knowledge, has the ability to do the responsibility, the action, but refuses to do it, so that after frustrating the person that asked for it to be done, the person will eventually say, okay, leave it, I will do it myself, and they will get away with not doing that responsibility or that action or whatever was asked of the person. Now, there's a difference between someone who is incompetent, who doesn't know how to do something, and somebody who weaponizes the incompetence. Now, the person who doesn't know what to do. That person is incompetent and that person will want to do it but cannot do it because the person doesn't have the knowledge or ability to do it. Now, that such person will feel a particular kind of way, will feel bad that the person is not able to do that thing that was asked of the person well, and might want to learn or is even more capable in doing other things well and does it well. Now, the person that is weaponizing incompetence would not feel bad that the person is not doing it well. The person would almost make it frustrating for you that asked or whoever that asked the person to do the responsibility, because the person will feel like, if I frustrate this person, the person will eventually tell me not to do it and I will get away with not doing it. So that's the difference between someone who is incompetent and somebody who is competent but uses incompetence to get away with doing things. So again, the person has weaponized it in a way that he gets away with not doing whatever is asked of him. And the fact is that quite a lot of men actually weaponize incompetence. Personally, before I knew about weaponized incompetence, I would just see some things that some men are doing and just be like, oh, this person did not learn from when he was in his parents' home, or this person did not learn or something. But when I realized that some men actually know how to do those things, because when they are alone, they do it. But when they have a partner, when they have a girlfriend, a wife, or whatever, they begin to do as if they don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to wash plates. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to load the dishwasher. They don't know how to do their laundry and the rest. And I'm like, so they want someone to do everything. And because sometimes some women will just be like, just leave it, I will do it alone. I'm actually like that. I like things done in a particular kind of way. And before I would just be like, just leave it. I don't want to see you do rubbish because it will be irritating me. But now that I know that some men are actually weaponizing it so that they can get away with not helping out, with not doing anything, I'm just thinking there has to be a way to get back at such men that are weaponizing incompetence. Now, shouting, talking, nagging might not work. I feel like for it to work, we might have to do the reverse. We might have to flip the coin, flip the case, flip the side, whatever you call it, and show them how being incompetent and weaponizing it feels. Now, you might have to like turn a blind eye to what they are doing when they are trying to frustrate you, so that you tell them, no, don't do it, I will do it, and do all the chores in the house. You might just have to like look at them and say, whatever you do, we would accept it like that. If you wash the plate in a dirty way, we would use the plate like that. And if we get sick, we will go to the hospital. I'm sure that if he gets sick one day, if he has diarrhea and vomiting for one day, next time we wash the plate well. So if you can turn a blind eye and see that it just will be consequences for weaponizing incompetence, and leave the person to do it the way the person wants to do and not even blink or react, I feel like some of them might change. Another way that I feel like you can flip the situation is to be incompetent in something that he wants you to do and he wants you to help out with or something, and you find that you make sure that you do it in a disastrous way that he will get offended, and you be like, it's the same thing that when I say you should help and wash the plate and you don't do it well, this is what it feels like. Oh, you don't say anything at all and you allow him to flip out and get angry because the thing that he expected you to do, you deliberately did not do it well. I feel like if that occurs more frequently, the men who are weaponizing incompetence might have a change of mind, because sometimes when you are talking and arguing and nagging in their own opinion, it will give them more resolve or more energy to continue to weaponize incompetence. So I don't know what you guys think about this whole topic. I would love to hear what you think. Do you think that some men are actually incompetent and they want to learn but women will just snap anytime they do something that is wrong? Or do you think that some men are actually weaponizing incompetence to get away with not doing any responsibility in the house? I would love to hear what you think about this whole topic. So please leave your comments in the comment section so that we can get this discussion pop. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are not yet subscribed and you like videos such as this, please consider subscribing by clicking on the red button that says subscribe, and don't forget to click on the bell notification icon by the side so that you're notified anytime I upload videos. Now, with all that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.